Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Debrief live on the Blood Red channel with myself, Patrick Smith, and Theo Squires. After Liverpool beat Leicester City on penalties to reach the League Cup semi-finals. Theo, what a game, what a win, and what a way to win it as well.
Yeah, definitely. I am very, very cold, and it almost makes up for that. I think the way the game started, you just, let them get a third and let's just call it quits. That'll do. We'll go home early. We're out the League Cup. It doesn't matter. You can see the team Jurgen Klopps selected. There's a bunch of kids in it. That's the League Cup done for another year. They started poorly, gifted away a few goals. Oxlade Chamberlain gives them that little bit of hope, and then it's stolen away again from a James Maddison effort. You think, that is done. Liverpool out the League Cup. But then he plays his big power play, start the second half, throws on the treble subs, then brings on Naby Keita, and there was only one team that was winning it in that second half. Jota gets his goal, and then you're just waiting for that equaliser. And it's a Liverpool team. It's always going to come at the death, isn't it? It's always going to be this dramatic way to find the goal. And sure enough, Minamino, I think the 5th of 6 minutes added on, gets the equaliser in front of the Kop. And then we go to penalties. You're going up second, so you've always got that drama. It's like, is this going to win it? Is this going to lose it? Taki, he misses in the shootout. He's unlucky there. He could have been the star, but Kelleher, he's the star, isn't it? 2 great saves in that shootout, and then wonderful scenes to see Jota celebrating when he scored the winning penalty. Into the semi-finals, I think you said it was Arsenal, Chelsea, and Tottenham Hotspur. So they're not going to be easy games. Another 2 games to play in what is going to be a very busy festive period when you're already losing players to the Cup of Nations. So I'm wondering if Jurgen Klopp might start to regret throwing on those 3 lads at half-time now, making sure the fixture congestion is going to get worse. But yeah, you could tell from the atmosphere in that second half, Liverpool fans did not want to say goodbye to the League Cup just yet. They wanted to win. They wanted to have this chance of going for a trophy, and the side responded to it. As I said, there was only one team who was winning that based on that second half performance, and it's one where it doesn't matter who won the shootout. You could give a lot of credit to what was essentially Liverpool's reserve 11 in the second half, but to win it on penalties, it's that cherry on the cake. And now we're all going home for Christmas. That nice feel-good factor, marvellous.
Well, we're going to break the game down, but we've got some breaking news. We have been drawn with Arsenal, and we're playing away first. So I think that probably the best of the 3 teams, I would say, with the greatest respect to Arsenal. I think we'll take that one. But now going back to the game tonight, if you'd have said to me at 8 o'clock that Liverpool were going to win this game, I'd have thought you were mental here. But we really did turn it around. But we have to start with a shaky start. 2 goals from Vardy. It was not an ideal start for the young lads, was it?
No, not at all. And it looked like a team full of youngsters who haven't played together before. And let's be honest, that's because it was a team full of youngsters who haven't played together before. Every time Leicester got the ball, they were winning it back off Liverpool. It was Liverpool giving it away cheaply, and then it was just through balls in beyond the defence or long balls over the top. And you know what Leicester are going to offer. They played Jamie Vardy up front. They played Patson Daka up front. These are 2 of the fastest forwards you're going to get in the Premier League. And they proved it. You could tell it was Joe Gomez back from injury, and it was Billy Commetio making what could be his first start, I believe, for Liverpool. And there wasn't that chemistry between them. They weren't in line, and it was allowing Leicester to get behind them time and time again and create these opportunities. And it did just make you think, it's game over. It was a very raw performance, full of mistakes, and you just accept that based on the starting 11 that Liverpool were going to lose tonight, especially when you look against the Leicester team, which was so strong. I think I've done the numbers, and considering they have their own COVID outbreak and everything, 2 games called off, it's not bad when you can name a starting 11 with 6 players that started the FA Cup final 6 months ago, 7 months ago. I think 12 players in the squad tonight were in the squad at Wembley. So, it wasn't too bad for Leicester, but that just shows how what Liverpool have done today and how they turned it around. But like you said, it certainly didn't feel like that was going to be the case at 8 o'clock. I think I put in our blog, like I said in the intro, just let them get a third and we'll go home early. We don't need to play the full 90 minutes here. We just need to do 20, 30 minutes. It's 3-0. That is job done.
Well, of course, you said there it wasn't a far off full-strength Leicester. You've had 10 days of rest as well. So we've got to give these young Liverpool lads, a bit of a respectful message on that one, because they're coming in for some of their first games. Is it too soon for them, though, Theo, the likes of Commetio, Conor Bradley?
It's one where you can get away with it depending on who you play around them. I think if you had Commetio at centre-back along Virgil van Dijk, or you had Connor Bradley with a senior player in front of him, it's fine. Like, we've seen that with Tyler Morton. Like, he was superb at San Siro, for example, in a team filled with senior players alongside him. But when it's 2 and 3 of them together, when you've got Nico Williams out of position, you've got Joe Gomez just coming back from injury, it is going to be a lot harder. And it proved. But then you think it still wasn't a first-choice Liverpool team when the substitutions were made. Yeah, they threw on Milner, Canarse, Jota, Naby Keita. But it was still, I think, only one player in the team that finished the 90 minutes could claim to be first-choice Liverpool. Yeah. And whether it's Firmino or Jota, that is up to you to make a decision. It's one of the two. And maybe in 6 months' time we'll be saying Konate's there as well. But it was Liverpool's second-choice 11. And for all the stick that the club has got for not strengthening the squad, for not reinvesting it, for not having enough strength and depth, when you consider the injuries they've got and all the players out with COVID, their second 11 has just basically destroyed Leicester, a strong Leicester team in the second half. The Anfield atmosphere was part of it. But you say Man City's second choice 11 would finish in the top 4. On this evidence, Liverpool's second choice 11 wouldn't be far off either. And that has to give you confidence. But it does depend who the players you got around them. Like, Owen Beck came off the bench in the second half and he finished strongly, but he's alongside 10 players with plenty of experience alongside him. So he's going to have these players around and rallying us alongside him, helping him through it, where it's always going to be harder for Morton, Bradley, Kometio. Now, we're not going to say on the basis of this game that Morton's not ready, because we've seen him so far this season. He's looked really good, but he's been playing alongside those senior players, whereas you would say Kometio isn't, and he wasn't when he played last year. But it's completely different circumstances. But then if Van Dijk didn't have COVID, if Fabinho was fit and all these players weren't unavailable, probably would have been a younger team. Like, you wouldn't have needed to go Connor Bradley and Billy Kometio. They'd have probably only been on the bench and you'd have played a couple more of the senior stars. Because then you think, look, James Milner, for example, he was being kept back because he's going to be needed over these 2 games over the festive period. Same for Naby Keita, same for Diogo Jota, and then your players departed in the Cup of Nations. Jurgen Klopps to be very smart with his lineup, and it could have easily backfired. It did technically backfire in that first half. He had enough in reserve to get the job done. Whether he's happy that his side got the job done with those extra 2 games now coming in January, we'll wait and see.
Well, it is one of the best academies in the world, and they do deserve the best of credit for, it just shows again tonight how fantastic the conveyor belt of talent we've got is. But young Tyler Morton, once again, so composed from him. He looks like a player way beyond his years here, doesn't he?
Yeah, definitely. There's always these classy midfielders coming through the academy, and it's just the fact that he's playing as number 6, which isn't his preferred position. Like, you see him at the 21 or 23, or for the under 18s or whatever, Europa Youth League under 19s, and he's always so calm and composed, but he's playing further forward, and he's such a varied player. And you think, what is he getting from training alongside Jordan Henderson, from training alongside James Milner, Thiago Alcantara, Fabinho? It's such a great experience for him. And it's, where does he fit into the Liverpool team going forward? Because we know that these players are getting a bit older. Thiago's not going to be around forever. Henderson's not going to be around forever. Milner's not going to be around forever. So there will be opportunities, the same as Curtis Jones has had opportunities, the same as Harvey Elliott's had opportunities. And he could have a really good future at Liverpool, but it's what he does next. It's all very well for these first good few games. You need to build on it. Like we saw Leighton Clarkson, he did well when he came to the team. Didn't get any opportunities last year, admittedly, because it was much difficult, more harder circumstances do give players opportunities. But now he's on loan at Blackburn, and it's not quite happening for him. Morton's had the luck of the green so far, but he does look an exciting prospect. But then you'd expect him to go and do well against whoever he plays. Like, he's just gone and a couple of weeks ago had a game of his life at the San Siro against AC Milan, against the team that's got Zlatan Ibrahimovic. If you can do that, nothing should faze you.
Well, alongside him is Oxlade Chamberlain, who of recent hasn't been quite as good as he was before his injury. But he had another good performance there, didn't he? And a lovely goal to ignite the crowd.
Yeah, definitely. I've always been a big defender of Oxlade Chamberlain, because what you see is what you get. He works so hard, and he is one of the most players who feels the frustration the most. Whether it's because he's not playing well, you can see how annoyed he is at himself on the pitch, or if the team aren't performing, if the players aren't pressing alongside him. I think there's this viral clip of him at Arsenal, which was one of the reasons why you could see he wanted to leave at the end, when he was just chasing all these players and he turned around and there was no one doing the same. Like, he's got that desire to win, and he's such a likeable player, and he's had a rotten luck with injuries, but he is a versatile player. He's a talented player. He just needed some game time to show it. He's been written off in the past, time and time again. But when he gets the opportunities, and he gets a run of opportunities, you can see the quality. And that's the case today. Like, he scored one, could have maybe had another one. He's just got so much energy in the midfield. He passes the ball well, he gets forward, he's not scared of tracking back. There was one moment, I think late in the second half, where Leicester played this quick free kick, caught all the Liverpool team off guard, in behind the wall. I think it was Patson Daka. It was one of the strikers, maybe Patson Daka, so it might not have been late in the second half. And you think, oh, he's got the pace, he's going to have a clear shot on goal. But then Oxlade Chamberlain just sprints across, he's read it perfectly, shoves him off the ball in the box, and then just coolly runs away with it. It's like, he just doesn't want to give up anything. And he's not the perfect player. He needs game times. He needs regular matches. He might not get it at Liverpool because he's never going to be a first choice when everyone's fit. But if he's happy being a squad player, you're happy to have him at Liverpool Football Club. Then when you give him opportunities, he does deliver. Just whether he gets enough opportunities at Liverpool, we'll see. Jurgen Klopps was asked about his future in his press conference last week, I believe, before the Tottenham game. And it was a cryptic answer of sorts. So, his situation is going to be different in a year's time. We can't make that decision now. Whereas, he's been so emphatic with Mohamed Salah, we want to keep him. I think it's very much up to Oxlade Chamberlain. Do you want to stay and be a squad player at Liverpool, or do you want to go elsewhere and play regularly? He deserves to play regularly, but if you're Jurgen Klopp, you're happy to keep him as a squad player as well because he has so much to offer.
Well, similarly on that note, someone who I'm a big fan of is Nico Williams. But is his position in the long term at fullback or on the wing, Theo, do you think?
Fullback. If you're going to compare him to Gareth Bale now, Christmas is cancelled. I'm not having him as this right winger.
I'm not going to do that again this time, don't worry.
He's a really good fullback. He's just not as good as Trent Alexander-Arnold. And that is not a slant on him because Trent Alexander-Arnold is the best right back in the world. Could he be a winger? Potentially. But he needs to be at the right club, and that club is not Liverpool. Like Mohamed Salah is that right winger. You'd have to be inverted and keep him on the left, and then Sadio Mane is that winger. He's not going to play in those positions at Liverpool. And it isn't fair on him to be the reserve option to them because he is just not at their level. He could be in 5 years he could be if he goes, I don't know, to a Southampton or someone like that and they play him there. But it's not going to happen for him there at Liverpool just because the quality ahead of him is so superior. But he is a great player, and you can see he's come through the academy and he's got some similar attributes to Trent, for example. Like his crossing is immense. There was one long diagonal, I think Oxlade Chamberlain was probably offside for it, but the vision and big round of applause from the fans as well. He's got that energy getting back and winning the ball back and everything. He's a really good player. He's just stuck between a rock and a hard place at Liverpool. Might not go in January. Like we expected him to go in the summer. It didn't happen. You feel at this time Liverpool still need him in the squad for the second half of the season. But then you wouldn't be surprised in the summer if it is time for Nico Williams to move on. It just depends what he wants to do. Liverpool said in the summer, if he wants to go, we're happy to let him go because he deserves to play. That won't have changed. He knows it's going to take a big ask for him to be able to go, yeah, Mohamed Salah, I want your place, or Trent Alexander-Arnold, I want your place. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, well, Klopp has said that he's not going to let anyone go, but I would like to see someone like Nico Williams go out on loan and get some game time. Well, then, of course, in January is probably the time when we're actually going to need him, with Salah and Mane both missing. But on the other wing was Takumi Minamino. What a finish in almost the last minute of the game. Absolutely cold as ice, wasn't it, Theo?
Yeah, he needed a moment like that, didn't he? He's not had the opportunities he'd like so far this season, but he's still delivering the goals. And there's just something about him in the League Cup. I think he's leading goal scorer, at least for Liverpool in this tournament so far this season. Is that 4 and 3 for him? I believe he got 2 in the first game, 1 against Preston, and he could have been the winner tonight if he'd scored. If he'd scored against in the shootout. He's unlucky with that penalty. You can see how much it meant to him when he did miss it. But he's going to get game times in the weekend. Like we know Salah's going to go, we know Mane's going to go to the Cup of Nations, and what is his role at Liverpool? Because he goes missing a little bit when he plays centrally, but he does look good when he's on the wing, cutting inside, and he proved that tonight. He linked up really well with Firmino and Jota in that second half. He set up Jota for the second goal, and then called it, like you said, cool as your eye for that finish right in front of the Kop. It was a big moment when Liverpool needed it, and hopefully it can give him some confidence, and he can build on that going into the next month, 6 weeks, when he will be needed most, rather than beating himself up about the penalty. Like, everyone misses penalties. Yeah. Liverpool have lost a fair few shootouts under Jurgen Klopps, and it doesn't mean any of them are bad players. It's just how you respond to that, and I think he's got the mentality to respond to that.
We both touched on AFCON. The first leg against Arsenal away from home is going to be between the Chelsea game and the Shrewsbury game, when both Salah and Mane have gone to AFCON. I know they probably wouldn't have been involved in the semi-final anyway, but how big a problem does this pose now for you? Another game that we don't really need.
It's going to be tough, because Jurgen Klopp's going to have to rotate his side and manage his players even more carefully. And it isn't going to be a case of you can keep Minamino in reserve for it, because you're probably going to be starting him in the Premier League games when you don't have Salah and you don't have Mane. Hopefully, it doesn't mean he has to resort to Nico Williams is a right wing and we'll put another really young player like Kate Gordon or something and go proper reserve. Like Liverpool now in the semi-finals, they've got a game at Wembley, they've got a game at the Emirates. You'd fancy him in that, and then it's a Wembley final.
Well, do you prioritise League Cup or FA Cup is the question as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you're going to play the kids, play them against Shrewsbury. Like, they did all right against Shrewsbury a couple of years ago. Shrewsbury probably aren't too happy about that defeat they got then. But he's just got to manage it carefully. I think in the League Cup, he's still allowed to make his 5 substitutions. We saw 3 at half-time tonight. He can do the exact same, can't he? But yeah, 2 legs. When you've got that second leg at Anfield, the power of Anfield, it's definitely in Liverpool's hands to get to the final if they treat the competition seriously. And I think when you get to this stage, you've got to treat it seriously.
Well, Theo, that's all we've got time for today, but thank you very much for joining me, and thank you to all the viewers for joining as well. Kelleher saving Liverpool then on the penalty shootout to beat Leicester and take us into the League Cup semi-finals. I'm sure we'll all definitely take that one on a very eventful evening. Thank you all again for watching, and for now, it's goodbye.